Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dallas Cowboys coverage after an absolutely terrible loss to the 49ers. Just about everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it was a pretty pathetic performance. So I'm just gonna break it all down. This one not gonna be the most positive of videos, but I guess that's kind of how it's been this season. We're up and we're down, and we're up and we're down, and it's just we go from absolutely shellacking the Patriots to getting absolutely just sat down by the 49ers. I mean, we know they're a good team. I think most would agree that they're probably the best team in the league right now. But the Cowboys are supposed to be contenders, right? We're supposed to be one of those three, the Cowboys, Eagles, and the 49ers. And the way we played in that game showed that we are not even near their level. And that's unfortunate. So let me know in the comments, are the Cowboys contenders or pretenders? It's still early. The Cowboys 3-2 now at this point. There's been games where they look like they're going to win the Super Bowl. There's been games where they look like they're going to miss the playoffs. And it sounds, I know it sounds crazy, and obviously you can't judge after one game, but it's really just a question of which team's going to show up. Obviously, there's higher competition, but you struggled against the Cardinals as well. So it's just a lot of unfortunate inconsistencies, and it's concern, because it's like, which team is it real? Is it real? Is it really? I mean, is this team for real? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? So obviously it's still, only 5 games through. We have a lot of time to figure things out, but right now this offense is just, it's not it. The whole Texas coast and all that, all the hype, Mike McCarthy, it hasn't looked very good. Even in the games you dominated, that was because your defense went absolutely off. Your offense was not the reason for that. They've struggled in the red zone, and in this game they struggled, period. So it's a concern. To me, it was time to move on from Kellen Moore. I think he was just simply too aggressive. But this offense is simply too conservative. I mean, it's running up the middle. It's Dak checkdowns. I mean, this offense has shown a complete unwillingness to push the ball downfield. And for that reason, CeeDee Lamb hasn't been that involved lately. Brandon Cooks, through 5 games, has 73 yards. It's unacceptable. I mean, these are 1,000-yard receivers that are just not getting the targets. And it's not that Dak's not targeting them, it's just he's not throwing that much. I mean, so far it had been great in terms of, okay, solid completion percentage and, not many interceptions. You were like, I think, 5-1. And then Dak, he throws 3 in this game, and now it's, back up there. So he wasn't, he's not being put in as turnover-worthy situations, but it's not because they're playing better. It's simply because he's not throwing the ball downfield. He's not taking any of those risks. And, and I like that it's a little more conservative, but they're playing scared right now. I mean, the offense looks absolutely lost. They just, I don't know. It feels like they haven't found their identity yet, and that's, it's been a big problem for sure. So let me know what you think of Mike McCarthy as play caller. And, do you think it's been a success? Do you think it's been a failure so far? And, going forward, what do you think? Do you think he should stick around next year as a play caller? Should they get it? It's obviously looking far ahead, but right now something needs to change. I'm not saying change play callers, but make adjustments here. And that's my main issue, is that's something that Mike McCarthy has proven that he hasn't done. I mean, maybe this offense worked in 2011 when they won the Super Bowl, but the Packers fired Mike McCarthy, or, removed him as play caller at least first, for a reason, because he just has refused to get with the times. He's playing a classic 90s style offense, and that just does not work in the modern NFL. There's no motion, there's no creativity. You're so predictable, and then you get in these 3rd and longs, you get in these 4th and goals, and then you're having to kick field goals, you're having to punt. It's just not working. It's not innovative, it's not creative, it's not anything. The one creative play that we saw was the KaVontae Turpin touchdown, and I'll give him credit for that. That was their best player of the game. Do more of that. Incorporate motion, get people involved. Let Dak run, do some bootleg, some play action. He's better doing that than when he's just standing in the pocket. This offense, though, it's just been so stagnant. It's been so boring, so predictable. And I know it's only been 5 weeks. There's still time to make adjustments, especially with that bye week coming up. But my question is it going to happen? Because Mike McCarthy, through all these years, It hasn't. So if something needs to change and quick, or else this Cowboys offense is really going to struggle this year and it's never going to find its footing and reach the potential that it's capable of. You have great players. Dak had a bad game. I'm still a Dak defender, though. I believe that he can get you to a Super Bowl. I mean, let's look at some past quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl with the Rams. In my opinion, Dak is as good, if not better, than Matthew Stafford. A few years ago, Jared Goff, as good as he's been lately, back with that Rams team, he is not better than current Dak Prescott, not even close. They made it to the Super Bowl. It doesn't take a Patrick Mahomes to get there, to win it. That's a little bit tougher. But my point is, it doesn't take that every time. You have the talent on this team. You have a championship level defense when they're playing like themselves, at least. We'll get to them in a minute. And you have incredible offensive weapons. I mean, Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Tony Pollard, Jake Ferguson. You have an incredible offensive line. They're finally healthy. Thank you for that. This team, there's no reason they shouldn't be a contender. And the fact that we're questioning it is a real concern. And to me, as much as Dak has, he had a bad game. He has not had a bad season. Let's not blame this all on him and say that he's the reason. He's not, He's part of it. He struggled, and he did not play well at all. I want to make that clear. But if you fail to make a run this postseason, it's not because of Dak Prescott. It's because of a whole load of issues. And right now, the number one is play calling. It's just got to change. Something has to give, or else this team is going to be stuck in this limbo all season. Maybe they can beat up on bad teams, but when it comes to these good teams and when it comes to a point where your offense is asked to carry the load, they're not capable. Unfortunately, I mean, you won those games because of your defense. Your offense did all right, but they weren't the reason you won. And the reason you've lost these games is because your defense struggled and your offense wasn't able to produce anything. So there's adjustments that need to be made. Whether or not they will be remains to be seen. But, we got to hope for the best because you have a great team here. They've shown their flashes. They've shown they're capable. There just needs to be some adjustments made for sure. So on to the defensive side. I still believe in this defense. They had a bad game. Again, everyone did. But I believe that they are at, that championship level. I still believe that. It's just going to be, continuing to find consistency. And, it's like a pitcher in baseball. They can be great. They might allow just 1 or 2 runs. But if there's no run support from the offense, they're still going to lose that game. It's not their fault. But it's got to be balanced. It's got to be complementary. And we talk about this all the time. But it has to happen. When this team doesn't show up in all 3 facets, at least 2 of them, you're going to struggle. And, it certainly was on full display against the 49ers. So, obviously Micah Parsons, unfortunately, was pretty much neutralized. And they have a good offensive line. They schemed well, something the Cowboys need to improve on, scheming. The 49ers looked ready. They looked prepared for that game. The Cowboys simply did not. And that's a big reason you lost. You were outcoached. You were not prepared. Everyone was fueled up, ready for revenge, and they looked flat. It didn't happen. So the defense, I believe, will bounce back. Unfortunately, you did suffer some injuries. Leighton Vander, a neck strain, is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. That's a concern. The Cowboys today brought in Rashaan Evans. It looks like he is expected to sign, so I think that'll help. Because right now you have Damone Clark. Period. That is it. He's the only linebacker on your roster. You have Malik Jefferson on the practice squad. You have some guys there, but do you want them starting on Sunday? I don't. Or Monday? I certainly don't. So, Rashaan Evans, I like the pickup, but you are very thin at linebacker, so we cannot afford any more injuries. And Leighton Vander Esch, prayers up to him. Hopefully he can recover as soon as possible. He's had neck injuries in the past. It was just an unfortunate, wreck with Micah Parsons in the back, and it just... thanks Trent Williams for shoving him into it was a frustrating game overall. So injuries obviously were concerned. KaVontae Turpin also, had the one good play, suffered an ankle sprain. At first they called it a high ankle sprain, and they're saying 4 to 6 weeks. And then Mike McCarthy said he could practice this week. So we don't really know. We're just going to have to wait on that. But to me, I'd call him questionable for this game. I don't think it's as serious as they thought. But, either way, hopefully he can get back as soon as possible. So Bland also had a bit of an issue. He returned, so I think he'll be okay. Donovan Wilson also, I don't think he returned, but I think he's the MRI was negative, so hopefully he'll also have a chance to play. Biotish also went down. He did return, so he should be good, but just once again, it was a bad day. I mean, the team played about as bad as you could dream of, in a nightmare. And injuries happen too. Usually it's like at least no one got hurt, but unfortunately, not even that was the case. CJ Goodwin was another name. At first, they were saying he had, I think, a torn tricep or something like that. But that was kind of unconfirmed as well. There were early reports saying, he's gone for the season. And then Mike McCarthy said he might go on IR. So it's like, I'm not sure exactly what the option is there. I think maybe it's like, maybe he can push the surgery to a later date, try to come back this season, or just go ahead and have it, which would end his season. So I think that decision's just kind of up in the air. But either way, look for him and Leighton Vander to be placed on IR. The rest we will see, but remember, injured reserve with the newish rules are required to miss 4 games at least. So that's a big blow, to your special teams and to your linebacking core and your defense as a whole. Leighton Vander Esch is a huge, huge facet of that. So hopefully he'll be able to return as quickly as possible. But again, you have some things to address, overall. And now with these injuries, it's not going to make it any easier. Hopefully the Cowboys can bounce back against the Chargers, go into the bye week 4-2. I'd feel pretty solid about that. And then make some adjustments going forward because you have a tough schedule the rest of the way. It's been an easy start. I really wish they hadn't lost that one to the Cardinals because you have the Bills later this season. You have the Dolphins. You have the Eagles twice. You have some steep competition, and I know the Rams as well. I would not write the Rams off. I will say, their record doesn't show it, but they've been very competitive this season. They have weapons as well, so that's not an easy game. The Chargers next week are not an easy game. I think you're capable of winning. I do believe they will bounce back. The Cowboys are very good after losses. But the Chargers, they're nothing to sneeze at. We'll get a Kellen Moore reunion. They have a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert. My point is you have a tough schedule. And you can't afford to have these just, oops, that was a bad game. 49ers, they're the best team in the league. Okay, so unfortunate. I really wish that we could have at least been somewhat competitive. But, you take that loss, fine. Let's move on. But you have a lot of tough games ahead. You can't be dropping, games like the Cardinals game. You can't play down to opponents. And this time, when it's a tough opponent, you got to play to their level as well. So we'll see. If you want to predict the rest of the schedule, predict what do you think the Cowboys will finish at record-wise, obviously. A lot of football left to be played. I still think this is a contender. I think they're a very good team, but they have shown after this week that they're a step behind the 49ers. I'm not sure about the Eagles. They're kind of, iffy as well. But for now, the Cowboys, they've shown that they're not at that level yet. They're not at a Super Bowl level. And for a lot of Cowboys fans, it's, that's not acceptable anymore. It's been, 27 years now? I mean, I wasn't alive, not even close, unfortunately for me. You got to be better, even if it's not. I'm not saying it's Super Bowl or bust, but I mean, you got to win at least a couple playoff games. I mean, you haven't been to the conference championship even since that point. You look at the other teams that haven't been to conference championships, you're looking at teams like the Lions, teams that are just so inferior to you, as an organization, as a franchise. The Lions, they're looking good this year as well. Let's not let them get back to the conference championship or to the promised land before we do. This team's got to step up. There's got to be urgency. There's got to be something coming. And that's just something that we failed to see for so long. Finally, in the offseason, it feels like there were good moves, Brandon Cooks was a good move. Get him involved. Stephon Gilmore was a solid move. Hopefully he can continue to play better. Mike McCarthy, or should I say, letting go of Kellen Moore, I think was a good move. Mike McCarthy remains to be seen, I guess. For now, it has not been a good move. He's got to adjust. You have these weapons. You have these people in place. But you have to make adjustments to accommodate them, to be better. Get Brandon Cooks involved. Mike McCarthy, make adjustments. Come on, It's got to come down to being, flexible, being willing to make adjustments because you don't get through a season doing the same thing over and over again. At least not a good season. It's got to be better. So thanks again for watching. I think that's about it. Obviously, Not the most fun video, but it had to be said. There's a lot of things that need to be adjusted going forward. And I'm not all gloom or doom. I'm not saying it's done. I'm not saying fire everyone. I'm not saying cut Dak Prescott, as some people will tell you, on national TV. They'll say stuff like that. I believe in this team. I believe in this quarterback. I believe in this, I believe in them. I do. Call me crazy. But I think that you have the pieces in place. You are capable of making noise in the playoffs. But you got to be better. You got to adjust week to week. You got to come in prepared to every game against every opponent. Make adjustments. Game plan. And I just feel like, it sounds obvious, but this team has failed to do that over and over again, just looking unprepared, looking like they just don't know what they're doing. This team is a team that looked unprepared. They were not ready for the physicality of this 49ers team. I mean, they were pushed around literally all game. You can't do that. You got to match at least intensity, at least effort, but coaching. Offensively, on Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer, I'm not sure what he's done, honestly. It's been unfortunate as well. And Dan Quinn as well. You got to be ready, You have so much talent on each side of the ball. You got to be prepared, though. And that's something that I think is going to make all the difference. Studying, being prepared for your opponent, being ready to play, and, coming in with stuff that's going to be different, that's going to catch your opponent off guard. The 49ers did that double lateral flea flicker to Purdy to Kittle for the touchdown. I mean, they literally copied and pasted that play from the noon game. The Lions did the exact same thing to Laporta. I mean, it's stuff like that. I don't know, who invented it. I don't know if they literally saw that and said, "Hey, let's try that." But it worked, Creativity. Something different that's going to catch your opponent off guard. This is something we just don't see. We don't see enough of with the Cowboys. That's got to change, You got to make adjustments. You got to be better. You got to be unpredictable. If us as fans from our couches know what play is going to run, if we know it's going to be a run up the middle or a dump pass or a curl, that's unacceptable. If we know, your opponents know. You got to adjust. You got to be better. And that's the only way, that you're going to have success against tough teams like the 49ers. It's going to take these adjustments. So I really hope they can make them. Thanks again for watching. I will see you guys following the Monday night game against the Chargers. One last thing, predict the score against the Chargers. Hopefully the Cowboys can bounce back. I believe they will. But I think we're going to see, some scoring in that game. It's going to be competitive. So obviously going to be hoping for the best. So thanks again for watching. Go Cowboys, and shout out Go Rangers, as they are in the ALCS, the American League Championship Series, for the first time since 2011. Big shout out to them. I hope that they can take it all the way. Hopefully the Cowboys can too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.